Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is a Jagdtiger. It's a Tier 9 German tank destroyer, and it's under the command of FendaBenda on the north spawn of Minsk. Now, this isn't the Tier 8 premium one, this is the full cream. It's the Tier 9 one, which used to be the top dog until the Jaegeru came along. The Jagdtiger E100, or Jagdpanzer E100 I should say. Okay, game has started. Now he's armed with a 128mm gun, and they made, it's actually disputed how many of these they made. Some say it was 80, some say it was 77, others say it was 88 of these, but they actually ordered 150, but they never got, they weren't able to produce them all before the end of the war. Now, it's the heaviest vehicle that actually saw service in the German Armed Forces, because it's 72 tons. It's incredibly heavy, and the frontal armour is really strong, but the side armour is terribly weak. In fact, if you can hit the sides or the rear, you can take these ones out fairly easily. In fact, that actually happened in combat. A Jagdtiger attacked a group of 5 enemy American tanks, and 2 of the American tanks ran away. Oh, nice hit. 237 on T-54. Yes, 2 of the American tanks ran away, but the other 3 American tanks kept firing at the Jagdtiger, but they couldn't penetrate it. And despite being hit repeatedly and the shells bouncing off the armour, the German commander of the tank lost his nerve, decided to turn around and drive away, and in doing so the Americans finally were able to penetrate the rear and side armour of the tank, taking it out and killing all the people inside. Now that gun, that 128mm, is tremendously powerful. I mean, he's using the HE rounds at the moment. They've got an alpha damage of 700. If he uses the AP, he's got an alpha damage of 560. Now there is tell, because Otto Carrius, the famous German commander, wrote a book about the Jagdtiger and his exploits in them, because he commanded a whole battalion of them. And he said that one of these Jagdtigers, under his command, fired at a house which had an American tank behind it. The shell went straight through the house and wiped out the American tank the other side. Just goes to show the power of that 128mm shell. It literally devastated both the house and the tank behind it. Well, FendaBenda's moving forward. That T-54 did a fairly good job of hiding behind the monument, but the other tanks have decided that they don't really want to get nailed by a Jagdtiger, so they've pulled into that little alcove in the buildings. And it's the lurver poking his nose out, but if he does, he'll get it blown off. Well, the one tank down at the moment, but I don't think that's too much of a worry. Now, they started manufacturing these in 1944. They first saw service in September of 1944. And they served on both the fronts, both on the eastern and the western front. And Carrius actually commanded a group of Jagdtigers on the western front. And the unfortunate thing was, every time they went into action, Allied air power would attack them. So it made it very, very difficult for them. They had to camouflage the Jagdtigers comprehensively to avoid getting struck by anti-aircraft or aircraft fire. On one occasion, a group of Jagdtigers set up an ambush, and unfortunately the crews were so scared of being hit by aircraft fire that even though they had a bunch of American tanks right in front of them, 1.5 kilometers away, perfectly in the sights, they didn't fire because they thought that the American aircraft would wipe them out instead. Okay, we've got that lurver, and oh no, it bounced off the armour. Unfortunately for Carriers, once when he was retreating from the enemy, one of his Jagdtigers was taken out by some of the local defenders with a Panzerfaust. Oh, got that one too. 112. Nice shot. Now he's firing standard AP. You see, they'd never seen a Jagdtiger before, so they didn't know what it was. So they fired a Panzerfaust at it, and unfortunately they took out the vehicle. Say it's only really vulnerable. Oh, he's got the lurver as well now, so that's 2 kills. He's only really vulnerable on the sides and the rear, so if you can get a couple of medium tanks to cover those, then you're perfectly safe and they can't take you out from the front. And just that Scorpion just tried to fire in and failed, and he's just taken a big chunk out of that Scorpion instead. Now we've got the little alcove area pushing the enemy back. The enemy's making its way down the west side of the map, but we're making progress on the east side. And we are fairly close to the cap at the moment, whereas the enemy is not so close to our cap because we've got a Scorpion and a Waffenträger Alpha Panzer IV defending them. Now another thing about the Jagdtiger, which not many people know, is that the vehicle actually did suffer from the gun mounts and, well, just about everything else breaking down because it was so heavy. If they were going to travel for any distance at all, they had to lock the gun down with the gun lock at the front of the vehicle. I think you can see there's a gun lock there, just underneath the gun. They had to lock it down. If they didn't lock it down, the gun mounting would actually suffer, and I think the Germans had a lot of problems with this particular vehicle. It wasn't really so much that it was over-engineered. It was more the fact that it was just so heavy. It really wasn't capable of fighting for any long periods of time without having a full set of mechanics with it to repair it all the time, because it was just so heavy. I mean, magnificent frontal armour, but it does have a few weak spots. Like most Jagdtigers, like those tank destroyers, the front lower plate, the glacis, is very vulnerable indeed. Of course it does have that big machine gun port, and you can blast around through that, but other than that... Oh, got an Emil. Other than that, it's very difficult to kill. As I say, you have to either get it in the sides or get it in the rear. And there's one of these at Bovingdon. If you've been to Bovingdon Tank Museum, you'll actually see it. I've actually seen it as well, and it's an absolute monster. It's huge. Now, they built several of these with the Porsche suspension. So it's rather weird, but others had the Henschel one. Okay, we've got a bunch of tanks over there. Strip 103, nice round into him, but it's a low roll. 247, he must have hit some armour. Strip's aiming this direction. He did get a penetration, must have gone for the lower plate. And he's got him this time. Gun overmatched the armour on the Strip, and there's no way the Strip can defend itself against that sort of gun. It's just going to go straight through. It does again, but he takes another round, and I'm pretty sure these rounds are going through the lower plate. Yes, they are. Exactly where they're going. The Strip knows where to fire them. Very tempting lower plate, that is. Right, T-28 pilot shouldn't present a problem, but we can't see him anymore. There he is. Trouble is, now he's in the dip. We can't see him because we can't get close to shoot at him. But he just took a big round, and I think that may have been from the Waffenträger, from the size of the shot. Okay, FendaBenda's moving up. He's got 2.6k of damage and at least a k of spotting already as well. There he is. Oh, that was a big hit. But I think that was one of the tanks who did that one. And it's the T-25 pilot's been killed. I think we can start capping now. It will attract the enemy like flies, of course, if we do get into the cap, because they'll all want some reset points or defense points, but it would certainly be interesting. Okay, he's going to do it. Just needs to put his nose into the cap area and then we can start the cap process. He's just got the front outside at the moment. Oh, there's the Emil. And from the looks of it, he's actually a noob. So he's got an Emil, but he probably didn't do well to get it. Now, oh, he's going to go around the corner and sit in this little dip. Now, this is actually quite a good place to hide because it forces the enemy to come down into this area to get a reset. You can't see it unless you're actually directly south. The Emil's going to have to come around the corner to shoot. Either that or he'll have to come over the rise. But the problem there is, of course, if the Emil does come over, then he might be able to get behind the Jagdtiger and shoot into him, unless he can back up against the wall. The other difficulty for the Emil is going to be that M103. But he's moving south at the moment. There's the strip. He's a long way off. In fact, he's the other side of the bridge. No, not going to be able to hit him from here. If you look at the mini-map, you can see he's the other side of the bridge. We're loaded with APCR at the moment. Now, the APCR, that's got penetration of 352mm, alpha damage 560. Almost completed the cap. Now, I wonder, is the Emil waiting until the cap's gone high enough that he can get a reset? Yes, here he comes. It's actually the Scorpion. Oh, he's bluffed the shot, and so did the Scorpion. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Did he get the reset? No, and they're tussling, and yes, he's got the kill on the Scorpion, and that's he's capped out to win. The Emil left it far too late. And he can't reload in time to get the Emil. Oh. So he gets the win. And he kills the Scorpion, but he can't kill the Emil. Here's the end of battle results. It's a second-class tanker for FendaBenda in the Jagdtiger, the Tier 9 German tank destroyer. He also got a fighter badge for getting at least 4 kills. He got 4 exactly. A shell-proof for blocking more damage than the hit points to his own vehicle. A fire for effect for doing more damage than the hit points to his own vehicle. A bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. He got 9. And he got the Invader medal. He was in the cap and they capped out. And he got at least 80 capture points. In fact, he got all of the capture points on that one. And one for his team. So let's have a look and see exactly what happened. Well, he didn't get the highest damage. The Waffenträger auf Panzer IV, who died, actually managed to get the highest. He got 4,110 hit points of damage. Then the Skoda T50, 3696, but both of them were killed. And that's actually why the M103 had to return home, because if he hadn't, there was a good chance that the enemy were going to cap, and then we'd have no way of getting a reset and would lose the game. So it's a good job that the M103 did travel south and that FendaBenda got in the cap to make sure that it started. FendaBenda got 3,248 hit points. He was third on damage. And the highest that the enemy managed to get was their standard B with 2,856. When it came to kills, it was FendaBenda on his team who managed to get 4 kills. But the enemy, Strib 1030, he managed to get 5 kills in the end, but he only got 1,925 hit points of damage for that. The standard B managed to get 4 kills, and he survived the battle as well. But when it came to base XP, FendaBenda's top of the table again with 998 base experience points. Then the Skoda T50 817 and the M103 with 807. The highest score on the enemy team was the Lerva, which FendaBenda killed with 592. So let's have a look at detail. Well, he fired 17 rounds of that 128mm gun. He got 10 direct hits, 9 penetration, and splash on 1. He did damage of 3,248 hit points, of which 1,040 were at more than 300 meters. He received 9 hits from the enemy, 2 were penetrations, 7 non-penetrations. Shows how strong that frontal armor is. But those 2 penetrations went through the lower plate. Just as I said, it is the weak point on the vehicle, that or the sides or the rear. If the enemy can see your lower plates, then they can hit you. If you can go hull down, you're impervious to them, and they're going to have a hell of a difficulty trying to kill you, unless of course you show your sides. He blocked damage of 2,590 hit points, and that's because most of the enemy who were firing at him were firing things like the Scorpion rounds, which were quite hefty, and they would do a lot of damage, but unfortunately they were blocked. He spotted 1 enemy vehicle, damaged 7 of the enemy, killed 4 of them, and he did damage assistance of 969 hit points, and he got 100 capture points during the game. On a standard account, he earned 32,923 credits. He got a mission completion reward of 13,828, and that brought up a total of 46,751. And after repair and ammunition resupply, he took home 14,562 credits. He received 3 bonds for getting the Invader, and he also picked up base XP of 998, times 2 for the first victory, 419 for mission completion, took away 2,415 experience points altogether. So yes, the team melted away, but it pulled back and then melts again. Yep, it was unfortunate that it looked so good at one point that you were easily going to win this battle. But when it came down to it, your team just folded, and it just came down to you and the M103. But the win rate for the battle was 4,039, so that's a really good score. So if you enjoyed that replay, please give it a like and do subscribe to our channel, and hopefully it'll be your replay that I'll be featuring in the next video.